G'day everybody and welcome to the Player Issue Podcast Case Sessions episode 7 we're up to now. Released one yesterday and I am knackered because it was 4 o'clock in the morning by the time I finished doing it. Got a very special guest in with me today. It's no big surprise because you would have seen all the Facebook posts today, but we've got a legend with us today, former Fremantle St Kilda legend, now just absolute legend of a bloke, Craig Callaghan. G'day Craig.
Cheers, mate.
How are we?
Great to be here.
Good to be here in the cave.
Yes, I love it. Especially seeing all your memorabilia, mate. It just makes me go, oh, love that. So, looking forward to it.
Well, you come here 4:45, so that's an hour and 45 minutes ago, and we got a little bit stuck on everything else in the cave. I think we've done the rounds.
Did the rounds.
Went through all the belts behind us, one by one, pretty much. Yep. All the stuff on top. Wanted to know every little thing about every piece up there and every jumper in the cave, in the cabinet, and all the balls and the boots. So that's what it's here for, because a lot of people will come in and go, oh, yeah, that's cool, and leave. Yep. But I love the appreciation that yourself has for people like me, nutcases, basically, on what we collect and why we do it. Yep. So to have someone like yourself here and appreciate what I do is incredible.
Mate, I'm a collector, but not to your scale, but probably a little bit more old school collecting, as in Jordan and stuff like that. But, mate, I just appreciate what you've got, how you get it, and it's just, amazing. Amazing.
Before we get too far, a little bit of a disclaimer. About an hour and a half ago, before Craig got here, I had to have emergency dental surgery, and it was not planned at all. Obviously, being emergency, funny that. And my face is a little bit messed up. So if I stuff up me talking, I'm afraid I'm sorry. I actually can't feel when I drink, so it's kind of weird. So if I dribble, I'm sorry. But I'll try my very best not to be complete nonce. Craig, so we met 2.5, nearly 3 years ago now. I'd say 2.5.
Yep. Because
of a little email. So I was one of those people that I tell people pretty much not to be. But the reason for that is I had picked up one of your jumpers not too long before that, and it was a pretty special jumper. It's actually over my right shoulder right there. And I think I was just potentially asking if you could sign it for me at the time. I don't know if I...
Yeah, and if it was actually fair income.
Yeah, which you confirmed.
I confirmed.
So that was great. So, but we'll don't jump ahead, I suppose. But I think I sent you that email. I don't even know how I found out your email. Potentially, a mate of mine told me where you worked, I think, and then I might have looked it up and found your email and sent it off to you, just out of the hope that you'd see it and not think I'm a nutcase. And I don't know if it was a long email, it was short or whatever, but just got straight to the point where I picked this up and hopefully you'll be able to check it out. And I just wanted to show it to you pretty much.
Yep.
And you did. I think you rocked up at my workplace a long time later. 3 or 4 months at least.
Yeah, it would have been. Because I think when you sent me that email, I was actually flying out to Bali. So, and then I probably forgot about it. And then I was going through my email. I was going, oh, shit. Better get back to him. So, yeah. And then checked in, and it was great because I live in Mandurah, and we were working at that time in Mandurah. And
that worked out perfect because we've been trying to do this show or this podcast, even just to get you in the cave to have a look, for a couple of years now.
Yep.
Because you don't live close.
No.
And I don't either anymore. So I used to, like I said, we used to work in Mandurah, so it was nice and close. You'd come and see me every couple of weeks. But now I'm whoop away for you. So it's a bit harder nowadays. But we finally managed to get you here and stoked and just ready to go for it. But yeah, so that day we rocked up. It was actually quite funny because I think they called me out and said that Craig's here to see you. And I had no idea who Craig would be at the time. And I just walked out and I remember seeing you. And I wasn't too sure. You looked familiar. I was like, I know this bloke, but I have no idea who he is. And
the grey hair might have put you off. Great hair.
Yeah, I think you had glasses on as well, potentially. Yeah. So, and I remember you sticking your hand out and saying, "G'day, I'm Craig," as if to say, "I'm Craig. You should know who I am." You sent me an email, and I looked at you with a puzzled look. And then you said Callaghan. I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. But yeah,
Well, the worst thing
absolutely.
was I never knew who Aaron was.
Yeah.
I just got an email, so I didn't even know.
You were looking for a
Looked like-
girl, weren't you? Let's be honest. I need to clarify that when I send messages to people because no doubt, like I've had a few for the current Freo players come in asking for the female Aaron, the manager, and then I walk out and oh, it's me. How you going? You could just see the look in their face. Oh, it's not expecting that. So I do need to clarify that.
Do that. No.
But it led to a good time, and you came back probably a couple of weeks later, and you checked that jumper out, and it could have actually been your debut jumper. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was my debut jumper, which was at against Collingwood at Victoria Park. So, and I can tell because it had a bit of grippo still in the middle, still left on there.
That's crazy. So, how many games did you play that year in '95? So this is 1995, obviously. You didn't play in the inaugural game though.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So
didn't play in the inaugural preseason game, which was in Darwin.
Yeah.
Didn't play in that one.
Was against Saints?
Didn't play in Saints, but I played against Essendon.
Oh, Essendon.
Yeah. But so it took me a while to around 7, I think it was. Obviously Belly and that we got the first cracks at it. And then I got my crack at Victoria Park against Collingwood.
How old were you at that point?
I would have 19.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 19. I stayed out of the draft the year before. And then obviously Freo come in and they had 4 clubs they could choose players from, and I was at Swan Districts, and which was good. I got to stay home, got to play at a new club, and
You say you stayed out of the draft?
Yeah, so back in the draft, you could be 17.
Okay, yeah.
So it's obviously Teal Cup, which is 18s now.
Yeah.
But Teal Cup back then was 17 and under. And then so I had clubs saying we want you to go in the draft. My passion, AFL wasn't big back then. It was my passion was just to play for Swan Districts, play league.
Yeah, right.
That was all I wanted to do because AFL wasn't that big. Even though I went for teams in the VFL. But I was just wanted to do that, and so I stayed out of the draft. And then obviously then Freo come in the next year, and that's it.
So
from there.
How did you make that decision to decide? I'm going to go and jump in the draft now.
Well,
because
I
it was
couldn't
at
even
home?
go on the draft. So technically, I didn't even go on the draft.
Oh, right.
Because Freo had East Fremantle, South Fremantle, Claremont, and Swan Districts.
Yeah, okay.
They could pick any player they wanted.
I see.
And if they wanted you had to play for Fremantle.
Yeah, okay.
So and then I was lucky enough to be one of those selected, and and went from there.
It's a good thing Andrew McLeod got the boot, eh?
Pseudo different players, but that's all
Ah,
right.
shit. So it took you to round 7. So what was your thought process at that point from like round 1 to round 7? I'm not getting a game here. Was it your thoughts with you're not going to get one, or you just biding your time?
No, because I was still playing at Swan Districts.
Oh, okay.
And the not the worst thing, but the best thing was my pay from the year before at Swans was $50 a game.
Yeah.
To all of a sudden $500 a game. So I was like, I'm happy to play WAFL. Back then, you're looking at 95. So I was pretty happy. But just plug away, and a chance will come.
Yeah, fair enough. So what was it like on that first fateful day when you got that run out onto Victoria Park? How was the nerves? Did you have family there?
The week was great, knowing that I was playing. But my old man's a Collingwood supporter.
All right.
So he was like, mate, wish you all the best. Hope you play a great game, but I hope Collingwood smash you. And that was it. And back then they didn't fly parents over.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I didn't have parents over or anything like that. But it was interesting getting off the bus to try and get in was, you're getting abused and everything else. And then getting on the oval for the warm up.
Yeah. And
I thought I'd have some shots at 50, I'll have some, it should be right. I thought, I'll go down the goal square now and I'll kick some out. And as I was going down the goal square, Andrew Wills and Todd Ridley were down there, and obviously they've got bald heads. And that the advanced hair,
Yeah.
Tony Lockett, 12 months ago. And today, all actual proof. Just ask these guys. Yeah. Call Advanced Hair Studio now on 1-800-800-500.
That was started to go, and I thought, that's pretty funny. Like, try not to laugh. And then all of a sudden, a beer can come over the top, and I went, I think I'll stay out at 50 and just have some shots. I won't worry about going to the fence. So it was awesome. We didn't win that day, but it was just great to get your first one out of the way, especially at a hostile environment like that.
So it's a bit of a den-like environment at Victoria Park, I assume, just chaos.
Oh, it's just mad. I played a few times at Victoria Park, and it's probably one of the grounds where, you know what Collingwood supporters are like, very passionate, and they love cheering for their team. And
yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, I do have a little scripture that I wrote up 2 years ago, or a year ago probably. I'll read it because I don't even remember what I wrote, but we'll see what it says. So you started your career at Swan Districts in the WAFL, winning the Swans and Best and Fairest in 1994 at just 18 years of age before being drafted by the inaugural Fremantle Dockers season. So you didn't get drafted, so that was a lie. You're a star for the Fremantle Dockers, winning 2 Rising Star nominations, which is only one of 13 players to do so, which that's nuts. So how does that even work?
I don't know. Oh, because I think what did I play in the first year? I can't remember. 8 games, maybe 7, 8 games, and then get nominated again.
It's crazy.
Following year, it was good. Good 2 trips to Melbourne.
So hang on. So what did that entail? So you got to go to Melbourne for?
Yeah, so we got to go to Melbourne, and you go and hook up with the team. They had a bit of a presentation the next day and stuff like that, but it was good because I think I got nominated with Daniel Bandy in that the first year, which was great because just mates, and there was probably 4 or 5 of us from Freo in that team, and then get nominated again the following year with, I think it was with Greg Harding and maybe Mark Gale as well. So which was a mate of mine. So
crazy. And you got presentation of a jumper, right?
Of jumpers, presentation of jumpers and shorts and socks. We all got that, so we all had to have a photo. In that. So, but we never played any games, which was it would have been great, especially some of the teams that we had. Because I think Cousins won in '96. Might have been Ben Holland that won in '95. I think it was. So
Did you think you were ever a chance?
No. No. I was just happy to go along.
Fair enough. And another thing that sticks out to me is winning the Swans Best and Fairest in '94 at 18 years of age. So was that, how many years had you been playing for Swans at that point?
So I played Colts as a 16-year-old. So I played all 22 of that. And then when I was 17, I played half Resies and half league, and then full time, in the league as an 18-year-old. So which was great because that was my team that I grew up supporting, and to have that opportunity, and then to win the first and best in the last, I think it was last round or something. It was a buzz. I was actually talking to my mates at the back, thinking I was no chance, but it was just ecstatic to get up there. I didn't know what to say. But
didn't have a speech prepared.
No. But it was just an awesome feeling.
Scared 18-year-old up there. Awesome. That's really cool. So as I said, you're a star, winning 2 nominations, finishing the top 5 of the BNF each year from 96 to 98. So you're a star for Freo. Became everybody's favourite player before being traded to St Kilda for Matthew Carr at the conclusion of the 2000 season. You went on to play some fantastic football again for the Saints in 01 and 02 before a serious knee injury derailed your AFL career, having spent 2 years on the sidelines after your knee injury. You called time in 2004. In 05, you brought your career full circle with a return back to Swan Districts. Unfortunately, midway through the 06 season, a reoccurrence of your knee injuries forced you into retirement in all forms of footy. Sad.
Yep, that's I had the good times early, and then injuries come on late.
It's crazy though, like reading that out, and you start like finishing top 5 for Freo in the Best and Fairest, 96 and 98, means you're a pretty decent player. Getting traded, what was that like? So going from a club that you helped start the club up. Obviously, you'd built yourself in your life there, and you're already here. What did that feel like to be traded to a team in Melbourne?
Obviously, the coach that at the time, which was Damien Drum, had the way he wanted to go about it, and his players that he liked the most. The most disappointing thing was not playing 100 games. That's the one that sort of would sting, because getting to 95 and then not playing 100th game would have been awesome for the club, but unfortunately didn't go my way. And the Saints come on board, and probably could have gone the year before. There was a couple of trades that were up for the year before, and I actually signed with Essendon.
Oh wow!
For 3 years, and Judd Lelich was coming the other way. But back then they had to find the person to sign the document, and obviously with the FAS mail, didn't come through. So
right.
I'm still there for another year. So that's something.
Yeah, it is. No, had no idea.
I've still got the forms. It's 3 years. So
wow.
And obviously the next year Essendon won the flag in 2000. But the most disappointing is not playing 100. I would have loved to have played 100 games.
Yeah.
And regardless of whatever happened after that.
100 games means life membership for the club, does it not?
I think it's 150, I think.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe like 100 on the locker or something. 100 games on the locker but it just would have been great. It's just been the first year to play 100 games, but just wasn't to be.
Yeah, pretty sad. I know I remember even when I was a kid, so I would have only been 14 when all that happened, and I remember being sad that you'd gone off to the Saints as well. So obviously you leave an impression on some people at Fremantle. What was it like leaving the fans behind? Did you get any sort of fan feedback at the time?
Yeah, it was difficult, especially my mates, because they were all Freo's fans. So probably just not being able to play at Subiaco Oval again and in front of the faithful. It was a bit disappointing. There's with some people from Geelong who were Freo supporters and all that sort of kept following us and always said g'day to them and stuff like that. So, but it was it's just difficult to. I mean, you move on, but I mean, Freo got a real good deal with Matty Carr, who played really well for Fremantle. So no regrets really, as long as they got something in return. It's
It's a good way to look at it, I suppose, as a Freo fan as well.
It's a win-win. I still remember when I was on the radio in Melbourne. I was in 2003 when the first final.
Oh yeah,
against Essendon. I was just so pumped that we're playing the final, even though I was with another team.
You're on the Saints list.
Yeah, it was another team. But just to have Freo, we always had those Eagle supporters that were bagging us for that long, but to get into or to play in a final was great.
That's tremendous. One thing I just thought of, actually, now that you mentioned the Eagles, is were you disappointed? Oh, hang on, no, 2000. Sorry, did you play in the Derby, in the Demolition Derby?
Derby win.
The Demo Derby?
I didn't play in the Demo Derby.
Oh, no.
But I did play in the first Derby win.
That's good then.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Okay, now that definitely would have been better. But would you have liked to play in the Demo Derby?
Yes.
Doesn't play next week. He'll get the right royal send-off in any case. Gardner and Pavlich added immediately down the goal square. A couple of heavyweights. And Gardner was leading with that left. Pavlich is going after him.
They're coming from everywhere, Dennis. It was a free kick.
They're crazy. It'll be a free kick, I think, to the Dockers in midfield. Well, there's one thing, footy future.
Again, the tempers are flying. So the players are very, very aggressive. Day will kick it. Has just thrown a couple. Look at this, Dennis. This is not good.
Dale. He's got a booking this week. Down goes Fletcher, claimed immediately. And we'll have a bounce. And again, it's on. And Dodd let one fly. Fletcher, not amused either.
I was in the dugout and I love playing derbies. It was just that, big brother, small brother sort of, just love trying to prove people wrong or try and, defend your club as much as you can. And I know a few situations that happened in that game and, it was interesting.
When it started kicking off, everything was going down. Dale Kickett flying hands, Phil Reed's flying them back. Were you just sitting there, just stewing, boiling, wanting to jump in there?
Yeah. There was one. I think there was one the year before.
Oh yeah.
And I think it might have been the first round where we stormed home, but we just missed. I remember Jess Sinclair being in there and his pretty boy hair that was flying around. But that was good times.
What was your best memories of that first Derby win?
Ooh.
I know you've got a good memory, so there's definitely something in there.
We didn't have I don't think we had the best start that day. I think the Eagles jumped out to a bit of a lead, and the rain started to come. And we just started to find our way. Mods was on fire. Brad Weir was doing the plane, the aeroplane. It was just and I think it was an Eagles home game, maybe.
I think it might have been. Because we were in the 3D anchor. So
and just things fell into place, and then just you knew halfway through the last quarter that we've got this. It's going to happen. As I said, we probably should have won the first one.
Yeah.
Which was our home game, and I think we kicked something like maybe 1 goal 10 or 2 goals 10 or something like that in the last quarter, and should have got over the line. But I made to win that first derby. But the party afterwards, oh my god, we all went back to the left bank, and it was like you were a rock star.
I was going to say, was it going to be the left bank? Because a few of the boys own the left bank, right? Was that they own it then, or was it after?
So I'm not too. It might have been after.
Might have been after, yeah.
Yeah, but obviously that was the home away from home that the boys would go to, and it was absolutely chockers. I remember Mods behind the bar pouring drinks for customers and everything else, and but it was it was a long time coming.
I can imagine they were just the owners of the place were just saying, just do what you want, just it's all you.
Well, they had so many people coming in buying drinks anyway, so I was like, "You're right, boys." But it was awesome. It was really good.
So St Kilda. So you were there for a few years, but you did only manage 29 games.
Yep.
You did kick 25 goals as well. You kicked 69 for Freo, so just short of 100 again. What do you remember a favourite goal at all that you kicked in your career?
I tell you, my first goal, which was at Victoria Park, was technically not a goal. It was actually touched, but they paid it as a goal. So I'll take it. But,
so you kicked your first goal in that jumper?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Even better.
Favorite goal.
It was touched. Yeah.
Yeah.
Touched. Interesting.
So, but apart from that, favorite goals, just love to kick our goals when I can. Yeah.
Outside 50 favorite ones, or
I don't think I can get 50. Maybe if there was a strong breeze. That's all right.
What was it like at the Saints? So obviously you didn't get hurt until a little bit into your career at the Saints.
Yep.
But so in those couple of years that you had free run, essentially, what was it like being at the Saints for that period of time?
To play with players as such of Robert Harvey, Nathan Burke, Stewie Lowe, and then have like Aaron Hamill, Fraser Geary, and then you have the young guns like Nick Rewalt, Justin Kazitsky, Xavier Clark, Nick Dalsano, Lee Montagna.
Jeez, it's a lineup.
It was an awesome time transition wise. I think when I first got there, and obviously we had Blighty as a coach as well, so for 15 games anyway. But he was awesome. Blighty was really good one-on-one. He would, you'd ask him a question, he would let you know this and this and this. He was awesome. We just didn't get the results. And the first game I played against, the first round we played against Bulldogs, and we got over the line, 4 points or something like that. And it was great. And to sing that song, different, it was awesome. But obviously in 2002, did my knee, got dropped for they wanted to play a tall, and obviously I'm not that tall, so so I'll play in reserves against Geelong, and funny enough, I was playing on Gary Ablett Jr.
Oh wow!
So to play against Gary Ablett Senior, and then to play on Gary Ablett Jr. But didn't did my knee in that game, and being a fan of wrestling, I had wrestling that night, and so I walked all the way not thinking that I did my knee.
Oh no!
Because I had a few doctors there, and they said, "No, you're right. You've just hyperextended it."
Yeah.
And then till the next morning when it blew up like a balloon because I was walked around to the wrestling, but it was not good.
Oh no! Was that the show at Colonial Stadium?
That's the one at Colonial Stadium. Yeah, and we had good seats too. So, but probably not the best thing to walk around.
So that was the global warming tour.
I think it is.
Or global warning tour, rather.
Yeah.
Huge show, 55,000 at Colonial Stadium as it was. The Rock was there, Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan.
Triple H.
Hulk Hogan didn't show up. Triple H.
Yeah.
Huge show, biggest one in Australia ever had at that time. Who'd you go with?
I went with my wife.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so she's a wrestling fan as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so and it was great. I'm a Triple H man.
Yeah.
So it was good to see it and see him in the flesh and see how they go.
It's a totally different experience, really. Seeing it on TV to seeing it live, crazy.
I was saying to you before, I did the experience beforehand, where you got to meet Chris Jericho and your Batista and all that, and it was just totally different atmosphere and totally different comfort zone as well. So
I mean, what's it like? Obviously, in AFL in Australia, you'd be a known person if you're walking out in the streets. What's it like for someone like you going up to somebody and being in awe of them? Like in like WWE for people like Jericho and Batista. What's that like?
Could you see him on TV and you go, oh, I wonder what that'd be like. And it's just great to meet him.
Yeah.
And it's just, I always thought if someone were like that to me, I wanted to give time back to them. Because in the end, we're all the same. We just had some lucky breaks along the way and got to where we are. So, but yeah, I was in awe of when I went to Chicago with Jeff White. You know, we went to Luke Longley's house and he was showing his championships around. And then he took us to training. This was the last dance too. So it was 98 preseason.
Wow.
And it was, that was to me in awe because I got to meet Steve Kerr and meet Phil Jackson. And
that's it.
I didn't know. Nah, he was untouchable.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He was untouchable. But to see him train and stuff like that was, I was in awe of that. So,
that's amazing.
It goes away.
So when you went to training, were you like nice and close? Obviously, there probably wasn't very many people there.
Yeah, because Luke just said, "Oh, look, here's the keys to my car. I've just got a meeting and stuff. Just come back in an hour and then just knock on the door, go in." So me and Jeff White and one of his mates were all knocking on the door when we got back because we bought all this stuff. And all of a sudden, 10 minutes we were knocking on the door. All of a sudden, this bloke comes downstairs and it was Bill Cartwright.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, "Oh, you're Luke's friends? Yep, no worries, come up." So we sat up top and they were doing like a 5-on-5. So at that time, Scotty was out and Robin was
probably in Vegas.
And but we watched this 5-on-5 and it was just awesome. You know, Jordan had one team, Ron Harper had another team, and it was a rookie team. There was 5 rookies that were trying to find spots. And Jordan, this rookie was going really well, stealing the ball, going down the other end, and then Jordan's team come on. He goes, now while he's bouncing the ball, like, "Come here, young fella." And he bounced a couple of ball, went one way, kid went that way, he went the other way, dunked him, just shook his head. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that. But it was an absolute awesome trip.
I can imagine.
Especially kicking the Sharon with Luke Longley on the Chicago Bulls training facility. That was good too. So, but very lucky.
I take it that came about because I assume Luke must have been an AFL fan.
He was Freo's number one supporter.
There you go.
He was number one ticket holder. And Jeff, he'd come over and did a walk, and Jeff got to know him. Said, "Oh, look, we're going to go to America. He goes, here, look, here's my number. When you get there, let us know."
Nice.
So it was and to be the last dance as well, to be the last one.
When was that? Was that near the end of the season or?
No, pre-season.
Pre-season.
So pre-season. So we went and watched 2 pre-season games as well.
Yeah.
But that was and they knew it was the last time that everyone was going to be together.
Yeah. You can tell it was definitely that thought between you're just watching that last dance. Everyone seemed to realize that this is it. This is our last time together. Yep. So to witness that would be just incredible. So I'm jealous. I got to see LeBron play a couple of times, and I was like, well, there's a bunch of generational players. You got to watch them play. I was never got to see Jordan play, so that's amazing.
That was the best thing, seeing Jordan play, even though it was pre-season to see him play. But I remember when we were speaking to Phil Jackson, he goes, "Oh, you're Luke's friends, da da da." And Jeff goes, "Oh, look, will I be able to get your autograph?" And he goes, "What do you want my autograph for?" He goes, "Oh, because I'd love to have your autograph." He goes, "All right, let me see what I can do." So he walks up the stairs, and about 5 minutes later, we just see this piece of paper just float down, and it was Phil Jackson, best wishes, Phil Jackson. So it was just like, it was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And we'll try. The best thing was as well, like trying on Luke's championship ring.
Yeah.
That was just absolute gold.
That's incredible.
No, it's a good memory. You bring that back to me.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm glad I did because now I get to hear it. It's great. Sad thing is he lost a lot of his stuff in a fire.
He did.
A few years ago now, but a lot of his memorabilia and all of his stuff from those days gone. So that's super sad. Good to have those memories, I suppose.
Yeah. He was a good man.
Yeah, so I don't know if we can get much better than that.
I threw that one out.
So, all right, rounding it back around again. So you ended up back at Swan Districts.
Yep.
So when was it at the point where you realised the AFL career is unfortunately done? So you spent 2 years on the sidelines.
Yep.
When did you realise?
So I did my second pre-season into 04, which was, funny enough, against Geelong. Same in the pre-season game.
Not on Ablett again, was it?
No, it was... can't remember who it was. But, just in a tackle, bang, knee, and then, so I was like, gee, what's going on? But the best thing Saints did for me, they actually made me like an assistant coach.
Oh, yeah.
So I got to learn from Matt Rendell, who took me under his wing. He was the midfield coach at that time, and I'd go to opposition training and take notes and everything else, and then analyse with footage as well with the young kids in the midfield like Dalsano and Montagna and Lenny Hayes, and so that gave me a different avenue to look at footy, not just from the playing side, which I couldn't do, to having an influence off the field.
Yeah.
As such. Yeah. So that was, so I opened my eyes to coaching and stuff like that.
Yeah, good. And we'll come back to what you do now, but I guess that probably had a lot to do with that. So, it's good that you had that opportunity and experience, because a lot of people, I'll bring it back later, but a lot of people don't realise at the time they're playing footy, especially back then, those days, what they're even going to do in the future. So to have that opportunity, you kind of, even somebody else might have realised that your career might not get off where you want it to go from there. So it's, it's building what you could possibly do in future, and maybe they saw something in you. So obviously great of the Saints.
Yep.
And awesome for you to even take on that opportunity as well. So they definitely led you down a good path. So that's good. Thank you, Saints. But you head back to Swan Districts. So what was the thought process there, or how did that come about that you end up back at your old club?
I suppose I always wanted to go, and I had to look after my wife as well, because she's moved away from her family. So I was always going to head back home, and Isham Mantle made a played for us as well. But it was the pull was to go back to the black and whites and and try and help out as much as you can.
Yeah. How'd that go? How'd you go with the old Swan Districts when you come back?
Look, 05, we made the first final against Claremont, and Tony Delaney and Daniel Bandy got the better of us. They were playing for Claremont at the time, so they got the better of us. And then 06, I did my knee again, so
that was
the end of that. And then had a few years off, and then I actually went back to footy.
Yeah, okay.
After that, so I chucked on a big knee brace. My mate was coaching Mount Lawley at the time, and he said, "Look, would you come and play?" And so it was like, what was it, 2 years after? So just wore a knee brace, but the knee brace weighed about 5 kilos, and I kept doing me calf or my hammy or whatever, and and then still kept playing. When I played in the Peel League with Baruna, which was great. Totally different. Always wanted to play country footy to see what country footy's like, even though it's only an hour away or hour and a half away. But it had great success there. Won 4 league flags in a row.
Yeah, right.
We played in 5 grand finals in a row. And then coached them in 2000. The 4th one, I coached and played. Which was great. It was a good time back then. Good time.
All right, really. So I'll bring it back to the script that I've written out.
I keep going off.
We keep going off, but that's good, because we've answered a lot of this stuff already. But so bringing it back to your first season in the AFL, we're going right back.
Yep.
Your debut round 8, 1995, was Collingwood at Victoria Park. 17 disposals and a goal on debut. So I did actually know that, apparently. What was it like to not only play your first game of footy, but do so in a hostile environment that was the Victoria Park in the 90s? I know you kind of explained that, but if you wanted to play anywhere else in your debut, would that have been your choice, or would you have rather play somewhere else?
Oh, look, playing on the MCG is probably the one, but to play against the most hated team, probably, and playing at Victoria Park, you want to prove yourself. You have to get out there and try and prove it. The worst thing is I had 17 disposals, but I got dropped the following week.
Really?
Yeah. If you had 17 disposals now, you're staying in there for the whole year.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was, as I said, playing at Victoria Park was a buzz. And against Collingwood, especially when they had Buckley and all that, Scotty Russell and Mick McGowan, and just some stalwarts.
Were you playing midfield back then?
I started off as a forward because obviously Ben Allen and
Bit hard to get in there.
Yeah, Big Dave O'Muir and stuff like that. But I did end up going through there during the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly spent time as a forward.
How'd you kick a goal? I can't remember actually seeing it, but how did you get a goal?
It was a bit of a snap. It was a snap, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably about 15 metres out, 20 metres out or something. So, but yeah.
Just perfect crumb and snapped it through. Touched off someone's hand.
Can't tell you now. I can't recall now, but yeah.
All right, so you didn't taste victory until round 18. So that's a little while.
That is a while.
Against Fitzroy. So everyone's wishing boy a little bit back then, but it's all right. You've got to win. What was feeling getting your first win in the AFL, especially coming home at Subiaco Oval?
Singing the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, great winning in front of your crowd and everything else, but to actually then come off and sing with the staff and the players, yes, especially singing it for the first time, for me anyway, as a proper, it was a buzz.
What was the locker room like after the game?
I suppose the other boys have already won beforehand, so it was, they were probably a bit more subdued compared to me.
Is you wanting to go off and celebrate? Everyone's just calm down.
Nah, it was good. It was good.
So being that you were the club's Mr. Reliable through the midfield in the 1990s, it came as a rather large surprise that you were traded to the Saints seemingly out of nowhere. What happened, or what do you think happened, saw you moving to the Saints?
As I said before, I think Damien Drum just had different players for different roles, and I wasn't part of his sort of plans, and things just worked out a bit different, and that's how it ended.
Like I said, we went off on a tangent. We probably answered half the questions I've got here. But so in your 7th game for the Saints, you come up against your former team for the very first time.
Yeah.
Subiaco Oval, no less. How did it feel running out against your former teammates? Did you feel targeted by any players at all? How did the crowd react to you? Must have been bittersweet to get the victory, or was it a bit of self-satisfaction as well?
I can't remember. Was Damien Drum coaching back then? Did he get sacked
after round 9? Didn't he get sacked after...
Was it round... Or was Benno taken?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I think Drummy might... So that might have been my motivation with Drummy. I kicked the first goal, which was good. My mate was happy because he backed me to kick the first goal of the game, so he was stoked. And I think we got over the line.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Did the crowd give you any sort of grief, or was it just
No, they didn't, which I appreciated.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Nowadays, as soon as you touch that ball, you're getting booed to shit.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Well, that's good. Good on the Freo fans. We do appreciate the good lads, so they all knew what they were doing. Who did you support growing up? Well, I haven't talked about it yet, and I don't even know.
So obviously, because it was VFL and WAFL, so Swan Districts for the WAFL.
Mm-hmm.
It was Sturt in Sandford.
Okay.
Why. Yeah.
Interesting.
I just went random there. Don't know why. But I was actually a Kangaroo supporter, North Melbourne.
All
yeah.
Right.
So I was, don't know, probably I'd say my old man was Collingwood, and we must have been watching the black and white TV back then, and I just kept saying, he kept saying Shimmerbush, I kept saying Shimmer, and then obviously with Wayne Shimmerbush being a Kangaroos, and then I was a Phil Cracker, Jim Cracker fan, and then Matty Larkin, and then Freddie Ellison. Still got the long sleeve North Melbourne jumper, and my mates that I live 4 houses down, they were Kangaroo supporters as well. So, that's crazy. For some reason, just.
So that must have been crazy then, going to the Saints when Malcolm Blight was your coach.
Yeah, it was. And Matty Capuano had come across from North Melbourne, and he won a couple of flags as well. So it was a buzz. And I was just kept asking him what was it like, and this and this, and
Did you always want to be an AFL footballer? Was that always your motivation?
Always wanted to play. I said before, like WAFL was my goal. I wanted to play league footy at Swan Districts. That's what I wanted to do. I'd say that to my teachers back at school, and they'll say, "Look, it doesn't pay enough. You need something else to fall back on." And I was like, "No, I'll get there one day." And but that was my passion. And then obviously AFL sort of started to increase, probably mid '90s to late '90s sort of thing. It's now they're in Squillions.
Well, that's sort of what it was like back in the day, wasn't it? So I remember even when Worsfold was playing, and he had the chemist, and everyone else seemed to have a job or a commercial they had to do to make a little bit extra dollars.
Yep.
What was it like in the WAFL trying to make money? Like, I know, could you make a living, or did you have to have a second job? Like most people had to
I
work
had a
full
job
time.
anyway because when I finished school, year 12, so I was only 17. I was working at a law firm, Clayton Utes.
Yeah, right.
Which was that was what I'd do. The lady, Darris, she was a West Perth mad through and through, and she took us on, and I was working there, and Julie Bishop was our head partner, so
Yeah, right.
so you had to work. Yeah. Best thing was I worked in the city, and I'd catch a train straight back out to Bassendean Oval and go to training, and and because I didn't get my license for a while, so had to rely on mum.
Thanks, Mum. We've chatted a bit of a chat about Mum already today. Liked putting your initials on things and fixing up your jumpers for you.
Yes, my mum always looked after me. Still looks after me.
Oh, that's crazy. Did you have a plan B post-football? So I'm sure your career came to a close much earlier than you anticipated. Did you always know what you wanted to do afterwards, or you just figured that out along the way?
I did courses along the way.
Yeah.
My ultimate thing was owning a TAB. Shawnee Mack will attest to this. So I did actually a TAB course when I was in Melbourne and everything else. So I was looked into it, and that's what I was thought about going into.
Yeah, right.
But obviously, I'm glad I didn't now because everything's online.
No kidding, yeah. So, that's a very interesting thought process of owning a TAB. Why did that come about? How does that come about?
Probably the old man, but the dad was always at the TAB, and I was always waiting. And I'd love my horses. He would take me to Ascot and take us to Belmont, and it was just But obviously, with the TABs, it used to be only Monday to Saturday, and used to have Sundays off. But now it's rotates all the time. So it was
That's mental. So what about your thought process once that was gone? What did you want to do? Did you know what you wanted to do when you come to the end of the footy, or did you just have to work it out?
I'd always wanted to work as well. Is not always wanted to work, but in the brewery, just developing the beer and stuff like that. Just Powley over at Saints, he had the malt, so his family was into that, and it sort of intrigued me into how it would be. So. Tried to get into Swan Brewery when I got back. Didn't work, and eventually went to Steel Blue because of Ross Fitzgerald, which was great. Got to work there, and then one of the mates said, "Look, there's this Clontarf Foundation. We work with Indigenous kids. It's around footy. Why don't you come and join?" And at that time, I was like, I think it was 06. And I was thinking, I just done my knee again, and I was like, oh, what can I do? How can I have an impact? And so went from there.
And you've been doing that ever since?
Ever since, ever since, which has been great because I just love seeing kids finish year 12, go into employment, better themselves, and earn more money than me.
So what does that job entail? So obviously, like say, you're looking after the kids and you're trying to make sure they better themselves and get to where they want to be. What does that start, bro? How does that process start? What do you do?
Obviously, I was operations early, so just operations officer, which was just much getting around the boys, picking them up for school, taking them in. Would have contact time, so you just teach them life skills, employment skills, just that educational background, just making sure that they're on the right path to get in there. And now these days, I'm employment officer, so work with year 10s to 12s. So making sure that their employability is there when they finish year 12. So making sure they have their portfolio, they've got their birth certificate, they've got their tax file number, they've got their bank account, they've got their learner's or driver's license. So making sure that they have the best opportunity to find employment because they know that. One, if they get to year 12, they have a better chance of life. And their next step is then, making sure that they go into employment so they can, help their families and put them on the right track.
No doubt you've seen some pretty notable kids come through as well. What's some of the more notable kids that have gone on to do some pretty incredible things that you've seen?
Football-wise through that?
Not even, just
I've had, in my time, I only had 2 kids drafted. So one was Jermaine Miller-Lewis, who went to Hawthorn.
Yeah.
We had a guy working with us, Carl Peterson, who was at Richmond and Hawthorn, I think. Another one was Brad Lynch, who was down Mandurah Way. he went to the Western Bulldogs, played in the VFL flag, but he got to experience that he's the main team winning as well. So jumping on the MCG in front of 100,000 people and just celebrating. So that was pleasing. But probably the best one is which I'm going to his first professional fight, Alex Winwood. He's Commonwealth Games boxer, Olympic Games boxer, lives in the Gold Coast now. He only weighs 50 kilos, but he's having his first fight back here, professional, at Metro City. So I haven't been in Metro Cities for a long time. So, but he's probably the one he's kept his level head and everything else. So he's probably the one. But there's other kids apart from the sporting side of it, that are working FIFO and earning $100,000 and as a entry level and just bettering their life, which is what I love saying.
That's it, yeah. That must have some serious personal satisfaction for yourself as well. So
you treat them like your own kid because you see them all the time when you're at school. You've seen them so much apart from 12 weeks of the year. You've seen them, day in, day out, or you're getting phone calls late at night as well to help out and stuff like that. So no, you do get satisfaction out of it.
Have anything to do with footy with them at all as well?
It's sort of backed off now. Clontarf used to be about using footy, still use sport as a tool, but it was pretty big back then. But then things just evolutionised, and it's about that education, about that employment. Is you finish in year 12.
That's awesome. So you're bettering kids,
hopefully.
Sounds like it. We'll jump back to a little bit before we were talking about some jumpers when you came to see me. So you also had an amazing jumper in your collection, which I found was just incredible. The fact that you had this in your possession, some nearly 20, or would have been 20 years later, and I don't know why, your thought process or what it was after owning this jumper. Well, there you go. I've written it down. 22 years that you decided to gift it to a perfectly. It was just a stranger. Like that's it. There's nothing else to it. I was an absolute stranger. And 22 years later, you decided to come in JB Hi-Fi and give me this Adrian Fletcher jumper, 3D anchor, which was worn on the last time Freo played Collingwood at Victoria Park, where it was the very end of the game. Richard Osborne tackled him, pulled him to the ground, broke his collarbone, and had to have it cut off. It literally got cut in half because they had to have his hold his shoulder. He couldn't get it off him, right? So they had to cut it out of him. Now, what was the thought process? I still, to this day, can't understand why someone like yourself, who just met me, this random bloke who's obsessed with people or obsessed with jumpers that come off the back of blokes. There's no other way of putting it. Why is your thought process, I'm going to give this jumper to this bloke? It's a pretty significant jumper. How did you have it in your possession in the first place? And why did you give it to me? I don't understand.
The way I got it was obviously the docs had to cut it off him, and I was like, well, this is Fletch, who great player, but an even better person. And for some reason I just took it. I actually love the design of the jumper. We spoke about this before. And just had it, and then I got Fletch to sign it, and I did. It was tucked away for 22 years, just sitting in a box pretty much with all the others. And I just, from knowing you for a little time, but just talking to you, how passionate you are, and knowing that you're a true Freo fan, I thought, why not? It's not doing me any good sitting in a box, and give someone who appreciates the jumper.
Well, I massively appreciate it, and I couldn't believe it. I remember being just completely stuck for words at the time. This bloke that I idolized back in the day is just handing me this thing that's amazing. To me, it's absolutely amazing. It still is, and it's in my cupboard behind you, and I absolutely love it. So this just shows the bloke that you are and how good of a bloke you are, and I guess to recognize somebody that is passionate and that they would really appreciate it, and it's something that'll live in that cabinet forever until I give it to my kids or something back in a long, long time from now, probably. But yeah, I just couldn't believe it. I've always wanted to ask you that question: why the hell you gave it to me when 22 years you had it in your possession and just handed it off to me for nothing? You didn't ask me for anything at all. So thank you for that.
No worries. No, I said I love someone who appreciates it and displays it. And it's good.
Well, we'll move on from the sloppy shit before I start crying. So recently we did the end of season sale, Fremantle Dockers end of season sale. As a matter of fact, it was a week ago. But when I wrote this question, it was a year ago, and I actually saw you at the Freo end of season sale last year. Was it last year or the year before even? Could even be the year before.
Might have been the year before.
So I saw you wandering in and getting some stuff for yourself. You come out with some 42s.
Yep, I did. I come out with the Indigenous 42 jumper. Yeah, which is good, and the jacket as well.
Yeah,
I got the player's jacket, which I still wear. I know it's got the big 42 on it, but it's actually warm, especially on freezing nights when I go and watch Freo. So, yeah,
that's great.
And I got my son, Sonny Walters. So, Sonny's he's a good man, Sonny, and he wanted to. It's his favourite player, so I wanted the jumper. I still got to get Sonny to sign it yet.
Yeah, well, there you go. You do. He is a good man. I see him at Coburn all the time. Usually getting his haircut.
He looks pretty. He looks pretty. Has to.
He's got to keep it shaved. He's got to get clean. Can't be seen not having a nice head of hair on the game day. So that's why I always see him. Actually, it was quite funny that I saw him this year when the players were told not to go into shopping centres because they weren't allowed to because of COVID protocols. And I heard that because Dave actually messaged me and said he can't come in. So can I meet him out the back? Yeah, no worries. And I saw Michael standing at the hair lineup for the hairdressers, ready to get his haircut. No mask, just chilling. I was like, oh shit, I'm not going to say nothing. But no, he is a good man. So, what's your thought process on the What's your thoughts on the end of season sales? So, you think we're all crazy? I do, but
no, I just I know that you buy a lot of jumpers, but it's one way to get rid of them. Yeah, otherwise the club gets them stuck there. They can either donate them or whatever else, but it costs money for the club to actually buy them and everything else. Yeah. So why not try and recoup some of it? But people will get to where it's a player issue or it's a training worn or whatever else. They get that piece of memorabilia or a piece of history that they certainly pass down. Even though the jumpers are nice and tight these days, pass it down to their sons or daughters.
And I think that is one thing is like. People like to think that the club hoards all the stuff that they've ever had, but just those 4 cabinets behind you, that's a lot of room.
Yeah,
like can't imagine how much stuff they would have, probably even still at the club now, but how much they would have had if they didn't get rid of this stuff with these locker sales. You would not be able to store it,
especially changing sponsors and that all the time. Need to move it on.
So you're a Freo friend. English is not my forte. You are a Freo fan now, right?
Yeah.
Out and out Freo fan. If someone said to you, do you see yourself as a Saints or a Freo man, what is
Freo?
Yeah, just straight up.
Yeah. It's an inaugural year, so yeah.
What about the rest of the family? Do they follow sport at all? Do they follow footy?
Oldest boy, he's Freo. I said Sonny man.
Yep.
My youngest one's Kangaroos. So that went about as he was probably 2 and I was watching a Kangaroos game and they kicked a goal and I said, come on Kangas, and he's gone Kangaroos and he's stuck with it. So really? yeah. So and the daughter, she's probably Freo, but she doesn't not into footy. My wife is definitely Freo.
Good.
And doesn't like the opposition in the same state. Like one bit. She hates them more than me.
Really?
Yeah, with a passion.
Beautiful. I love that. So go back to the questions that I've written down here. You sent me some pictures of your 1995 home jumper that you have framed on your bar wall. Your 97 away jumper as well, and a couple of training jumpers which you actually bought with you today, which blew me away. One of them being a Nike trainer, which I don't think I've ever actually seen in the flesh. So it's pretty damn cool. What jumpers or items do you have from your career, and why did you keep these ones specifically?
It's probably because of mum, probably. But I've still got the tracksuit, the original tracksuit from. We got even Nike Airs that I've still got. We got Nike Airs. They're exactly the same color as our tracksuit. So I have to find them one day and send them a photo to you. But yeah, you from the duffel jacket to the tie. Yeah, it's history because it's inaugural. It's not like a lot of other clubs have were 70, 80, 90 years old. So, it was just being there originally. I said I'll show you that Nike shirt as well, which is, first inaugural season. Just to me, I love that sort of stuff. Yeah, hold on to it and collect it, and
it's quite amazing to me actually that a lot of players nowadays, they don't really realize, I guess at the time, what they have. So a lot of the time they'll just give it away, pass it on, get rid of it, whatever. But most of them don't keep it. I think I only know a handful of players, if that actually keep their own stuff. So to have that foresight from yourself, it's pretty crazy to keep it, especially you're a young kid as well at the time. So I don't know, it's pretty crazy. You even thought to keep some of that stuff. So down to mum, you reckon?
Down to mum. I have given a few things away when it was Adidas stuff and that, but I've sort of kept the original stuff as much as I can.
What about like some of your original Swan District stuff? You got any of that?
Gee, I've got a what was it? State. It was like a 15s carnival Swan District's jumper with the KFC logo still on it, and still got that.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of like a start of one. It was a Swan District's jumper, playing in the combined side back then, and two, it was sort of a start of a journey.
Yeah.
So I've sort of kept that. Still got the footy that I won as well. It was like a best player or something like that. And John Worsfold's actually signed it. So I've still got that, yeah. So what else? Yeah, I don't know. Just jumpers that, I showed you the Norwich Rising Star one.
Yeah.
I don't know if they get them anymore. I don't know what happens there.
Yeah, I have no idea what they get nowadays, but I've seen some of those Norwich stuff, but I've never actually seen a player with one or someone have one. I've seen people on sale on the secondary market, but never really was too sure exactly where they came from, if they got kept or if they were given to people or the players to take photos and then handed back or what. But you confirmed to me today that, you did actually get to keep them because you have one right next to you today.
You get the shorts, the socks, and and all that. So,
pretty cool. What about Saints stuff? Have you kept any of your Saints gear?
Yeah, it did. Yep, I've kept some Saints jumpers, probably 3 or 4. Probably the Saints one that probably should have kept was probably the yellow Pura Milk.
Oh yeah,
which was I remember that was an out there one.
Yeah.
But I think I gave that away.
What's the significance of the ones that you've kept? Anything?
First game or first year that I played there. Heritage round, when the first Heritage round started coming in. Just a lot of training stuff as well. So not a lot, but a bit. I just thought, especially then, like passing it down to your kids as well. Yeah.
Do you reckon your kids are gonna love it and appreciate it as much?
My son's got my Nike jacket, which is the tracksuit, 301. So he said, "No, I'm claiming that," which is good. Yeah.
You haven't given it to him yet? You're waiting for the right moment?
I've given it to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've given it to him. He wore it for Heritage round this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he was, even though we didn't win.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
But he wore that.
Nice. We only talk about how good the jumper was on the day. That's it. What did you think about it? What did you think when you saw that jumper coming back? What was your immediate thoughts as like that you played in that jumper for a start?
Yeah, I love when they bring the heritage ones back. It's great. It gives you memories back. But also seeing people now appreciating it as well. I mean, when the away green jumper come out, not many people liked it.
No.
But they did all right. Did all right in it. So I'm waiting for the red training jumper to come and see what happens there.
I might have to check a photo up about that because no one will have any idea what you're talking about. But it's a cracker. One of those things that people will either hate, most will, or they'll love it just because it's so different. And it seriously was. Just like the 3D anchor. I lost my voice there for a second. We'll take a quick break, actually, before we get into the last few questions, I think.
Equally as well, Voss out wide. Chance now for the Saints to go forward through Begley. Begley kicks the ball beautifully. And Callaghan is marked within scoring range. For Melbourne, they started with Scott Thompson, Troy Simmons, Brad Green and Anthony McDonald. Russell Roberts
Robinson's off the ground, as we mentioned. He's just fuming. He's straight on the phone down here. If we can get a camera to see him speak to Neil Downhill to see the replay there.
This is Callaghan we're watching. Saints lead 6-2. And Callaghan has extended that lead. He's kicked the second goal.
But now going down towards half forward. Where's Hall drifting back? He ignores Hall. Goes to the pocket. Callaghan.
Vardy just giving Kazitsky too much space at the moment. Kazitsky's running sideways and running off and getting some good delivery. Good passage of play by the Saints. They did a real S-bend right through the centre of the ground. Started in their left back pocket and finished up in their right forward pocket.
Craig Callaghan, normally pretty reliable, lights it up the boot. It's a goal.
Well, they're on song, the Saints fish. They have clearly come to play today, and they're hitting their targets, etc. Ensign.
So we have got a game. Moyle in front of Hickmott. Clever. It was clever play. It's been handy also in this first quarter. He's looking for Callaghan. Too much carry on the ball. Great hands from Wolf to Callaghan. Can kick a goal and has nailed it.
Wasn't that a beautiful piece of football there by the Saints players?
This is what I like also. A lot of players running to each other, you know, patting on the back. A lot of congratulations, trying to generate some
genuine,
spirit.
isn't it, too? It's
Seems genuine
enthusiasm. That was great play on the wing there.
Good hands here by Wolf.
Good hands, good flick around and good give there by Wolf. Actually, you're right, KB. And Callaghan under pressure was able to have the composure to steer it through.
You saw Anthony Francina. He jumped in the air and took himself.
All right, Craig, we're back. We did have a very short break just because I heard me mate's very deep voice off in the distance. And Matt has joined us in the cave. Matt, just pop your head over and say hello. There you go. There's Matty. He's joined us back in the show. And we can see Milo's head on the shoulder as well. Emma's just looking after her. So while they're getting looked after, we're going to get back to our conversation. First of all, we've got a beer, Craig. So cheers.
Thank you.
And I can tell you, I do not drink beer. So
I can't believe you
should feel very privileged. And this is definitely the first time I've ever tasted a light beer. So it's on you.
It's on me.
You told me earlier today which one you drank, so I went off to grab it, and I had no idea about beer, that I had to go to the counter and say, excuse me, what is the light Great Northern? Because I have no idea. So here we go.
Gave me a thumbs up going, yeah, it's a good choice.
Here we go. First taste. Not bad. Not bad. It's not bad.
Is Matt going to finish that off?
He's got his own.
He said yes.
He's got. Do you know, the thing I did read about is it said low bitterness or something. And I think beer, what it is to me, is the bitterness. I just can't handle. So the fact that it's low bitterness,
I was never
I'm a
beer
chance.
drinker.
Really?
Early, yeah. Always just spirits. And then slowly got the acquired taste. Reverse way, but Guinness and Kilkenny first. And then, yeah. So put me in good stead.
Okay, now that's an interesting question. You didn't drink much beer. So when did that start then? So you're drinking spirits. Is that even like, okay, let's go back to the start, right? So when you first started in footy and in the AFL, let's say, how much drinking did you and the team do post wins?
If you're talking derby, a lot. Yeah, a lot for the derby. But no, we a few of the boys used to bring their going out clothes when they went to Melbourne. If we played on a night game or something.
Yeah. So there was quite a bit.
Yeah, it was but that slowly decreased after the years gone by.
But you started off drinking spirits, or
yeah,
crazy.
It's always Jack Daniels or something like that.
Yeah, see, myself, I was a bean man, so I'm with you. So I still haven't got the taste for beer yet. We'll see how I go with this one. All right, Craig. So we are coming to the end of our sit together. So we've got now is viewer questions. So these are questions that have sent through from people that want to know a bit about you, your career, your jumpers. We'll just get stuck into it, shall we?
Yep. No worries.
All right. So if people will stop messaging me so I can actually see the questions, it'd be great. Throwback AFL on Instagram would like to know, do you still have any of your 3D anchor jumpers?
No, but I know where one is. It's with my best mate. He's got it hanging up in his garage. So, and that would have been I don't know if it's a 42 or the 9, because I actually changed to 9.
Did you really?
In 2000, yeah.
I did not even know that.
There you go. Another stat for you.
No shit.
I changed it. Thought I'd change my luck, but that didn't work.
Why did you change to 9? Like, what was the thought there?
9 was my junior number, and birth date was 9. But I always wore it at juniors for 9. And Peter Mann had left, and I'd come available. So probably one thing I shouldn't have done. Should have stayed at 42. But yeah,
makes sense. Craig Hall on Facebook he's got a few questions for you, because he's a good man, Craig. There must be a Craig thing.
Good Craigs.
Would like to know, do you remember how the players' gear was managed back in the day, and where do you think it all went to? And do you have any Clive Waterhouse stories?
I was actually good friends with Clive, and the wife was with his partner at the time as well. So, look, Clive's different, but no, he's a good man. He's a good fella. But I don't have many stories.
No stories?
Nah. Of him and his wife fighting all the time, but they're not really other stories.
Was he a fairly subdued man, was he? Or just different in the fact that he just kept to himself?
Yeah, he did keep to himself. Obviously being in South Australian, and he just really kept to himself. But we used to go out, as I said, with the wife and his partner and stuff. And he's good character. Good character.
You still mates with him now?
Oh, I haven't spoken to him for a long time. But I think he's back in South Australia. I think he is. But yeah, he was great for the club.
What about, do you remember how the players' gear was managed back in the day? And do you know where it all went?
Do not know how it was managed. Obviously, I've still got mine, but I don't know how it was managed or anything like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think it was Paddy Watson he was a property man back
He was,
then. He was East Perth first for a long, long time, and then Paddy Watson was a good man.
We have been trying to get Paddy on the show as well, actually. So we're still working on it. He's obviously a little advanced in age now, so it's not as easy as we hope, but we're trying.
Well, one of the player things that he tried to give us back in 95 pre-season was probably 94, was obviously, I think Swanbury was one of our partners, and he said, Callers, you've got to take one of these homes. And I looked in the back there, and it was a carton of Emu Export. And all my mates drink Emu Export, and I didn't. So I said, no worries, Paddy, I'll have 2. So I took 2 cartons with me and gave it to my mates. So that was a good player issue. I'm happy with that one.
Brilliant. Thanks, Paddy. Craig also goes on to say, gun player, I rated him. Thanks, Craig.
Appreciate that.
Any regrets from your time at Freo, and who was a player on the Dockers list that you really rated at your time there, but just didn't impact for whatever reason?
One regret is not playing 100, which we spoke about before. And probably one player would probably be Matty Clucas. Clukie, it was just hard as nails. Can find the footy, but was probably in that spot where there was so many smalls, with Troy Cook and Luke Toyer and myself, and I think he just couldn't crack it. But he was a gun waffle player. Won premierships at South. He said he was hard as a cat's head. He's one.
There you go. Good answer.
Even though he was bald by 19, but that's all right.
All right, Mr. Gray. Lachlan Canali. I'm just going to say Canali. I'm so sorry. Lachlan, I butchered that. What did you bench press back in the day?
I think we had to do, at one stage, we had to do 3 attempts at it, 110. So you had to do 3 reps. So 110.
110, damn.
Yeah, 3 reps.
Where were you on the scale of the players that were bench pressing?
Nowhere near Fraser Gehrig. Fraser Gehrig was like 150, 160. He was a machine. Yeah. But there were some blokes who couldn't do 50 as well. So, I was in between.
You weren't a noodle arm, that's for sure. Melbourne Tigers Collection on Instagram would like to know, how was your first pre-season, or I guess mid-season, under Malcolm Blight? Was he seen much?
Pre-season was totally different. We'd only train 3 days a week back then, but his big thing was the 5-1Ks. So you had to do your 3 groups, and you couldn't be 20 seconds apart from your first 1K to your last 1K. So if you're running 2:55, you couldn't be past 3:15 in the 5th 1K, or otherwise you're going again and doing it. So yeah, it wasn't a lot as in fitness wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was strict in that sort of capacity.
Full on.
But it was, as I said, it was awesome one-on-one.
And being a North fan, obviously, you were just chomping at the bit to be coached and trained by him, I suppose.
We always asked him to do a torpedo.
How'd that go? Did you manage to get him to do it?
He obliged all the time.
There were always 80-odd
competition. It was like that competition.
Brett Atchell would like to know, who was your hardest opponent?
Hardest opponent would probably be Darren Creswell from Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's probably seen, or not everyone, but seen him put his knee back in.
Definitely have, yeah.
Yeah, but he was one that would, throw the elbows around or, just make you earn it. Alistair Clarkson, another one. Yeah.
Just these hard nut bastards.
Hard as nails, and when footy was, you could get away with a bit.
A few jumper punches in there as well.
Always.
Andy Munro, the TikTok king himself, says, how did the Freo players feel about their jumpers while you were at the club? I guess in design and comfort.
Comfort-wise, obviously, from back then when it was the woolen jumpers to now where it's real lightweight. I'd love the jumper. But I'm glad that we went to purple. I remember when Freo was still coming up with, they had the name Freo, but they never had the colours or designs or anything like that. And they had it at the West Australian newspaper.
Yeah.
And they had colours there. And there was one that a kid did, and it was purple and black.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, it just stood out. Obviously, we've gone to purple and white, but I'm just so glad we stuck with one colour, and purple's, no one's got purple.
So what was your thoughts when we moved to purple and getting rid of the anchor altogether? I know a lot of people nowadays are saying, let's bring it back. But I think what they do right now, we're just doing it once every now and then. Hi, Em. Is the best way to do it. My beer's gone. I was drinking that, believe it or not.
Matt's drunk it.
Yeah, I was. Thanks. A lot of people they either want to bring it back or they hate it. They say the history is we're not great as far as our results wise. But seeing it come back for those one game a year, what's your thoughts on that?
I like it, but I do like the chevrons. I just think that it looks strong. It looks mean. It's I don't mind as long as the anchor's on somewhere, whether if it's on the back, up top. It'd be great to have that, like other teams do. Like Western Bulldogs have Footscray. I think Brisbane have Brisbane Bears. So good to have that somewhere on the jumper. But keeping the chevrons, I think, is good.
Yeah. Good question, Andy. Thank you very much. In Freo's early days, there's also Andy. In Freo's early days, do the players have a preference for Nike or Adidas off-field gear?
I'm a Nike person, so I'd say Nike. yeah, definitely a Nike person. But I'm saying that I like the Coppermundles boots. So, I'll stick with Nike.
Were you an Adidas boot wearer?
I did wear Adidas, but I prefer Nike. Yeah.
Fair enough. Angus Bradley Pert, also on Facebook. Did you want to try and go around again in 2005, or did you go out on your own terms? Do you have any of your Saints jumpers or memorabilia still, which we've kind of ended?
Yeah, I still got Saints jumpers and still got, whether it's a tracksuit or training gear and stuff. Suppose I looked at the group itself. And the players that were coming through, as I said, like Liam Montagna and Nick Dalsano and all those guys played over 300. So I saw them coming through. So it would have been probably if I said, oh, no, I'll be there as an experience or whatever. But I knew it was, probably time, especially off 2 knees, one on each leg. It's, probably not the best thing to try and hang on as well.
Did you make that decision yourself, or was it?
I sort of come to the decisions. Like, I think it's time to just I would have probably been delisted anyway, having 2 knees. So I'll just better off just retiring and moving on.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, Angus. Cam Reed. So we're into the last handful of questions now. Yep. Cam Reed, why were you such a gun on AFL 99?
Was I? I had a good 98 seasons. So that's probably why.
So do you know this question? Why this question is being asked? Do you know what he means?
I've actually still got that PC game. It's a PC game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've still got the box. I've got Shane Crawford on the front.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm so glad.
But I've never played it.
Really?
I've never played it, but I've got it on the I've got the box. Yeah.
So we talked about this earlier. I said that there's going to be a question that I love. I love this question. I didn't know how you're going to answer or if you're going to be able to because I didn't think you'd be a games guy. So how did you have this? Obviously, you've never played it. You might not be a games guy, but how did you even come up with it?
I can't even remember now. Couldn't tell you how I come up with it, but I can distinctly see Shane Crawford on the front, and it's in a white box.
It's quite a big box too.
Yeah, for a small game.
Yeah.
But I've never played it. Yeah. But I'm glad I did it okay.
Yeah, you were an absolute gun in AFL 99. So
98, 98 was a good year. I had a good year. I think I finished third, but I only lost by 2 votes.
Yeah.
From winning the fairest and best. But
there you go.
Yeah, so maybe thanks to the gamers for making me good. I'm going to tell that to my sons now. They play FIFA all the time.
Yeah. That was going to be a question I was going to ask is your kids, do they ever want to go back and play a game with you in it?
I don't know. None of them Xbox. Xbox one they got. But so
let's go back and get some old school machines.
I'd have to, yeah, like Atari or something like that.
You're not that old.
But yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Cam. I really appreciated that question. Aaron from the Player Issue podcast. That's me. What was it like to represent WA in state footy? And do you know what happened to your jumpers from those games?
I've still got the jumpers. Yep. Still got both. First one was against the Allies. Second one was against South Australia.
I would have been at that Allies game as well.
Yeah. Scotty Cumming was good because I got to play with Nicky Wimmer, which was awesome feeling. I think Peter Matera might have played as well. Yeah, that was awesome. It was at Subiaco Oval as well.
Yeah.
Scotty Cummings was playing. I think he kicked a fair few that night. We didn't get over the line, but that was to represent your state. Yeah, I love State of Origin. It's awesome. But yeah, I still got the jumpers. Yeah, got both.
I noticed when you walked in, you saw my Fifey State of Origin jumper just over there, and you had a bit of a look in your eyes. So you can tell that you enjoyed footy. So would you like to see State of Origin come back?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I still reckon, imagine Paddy Cripps playing for WA. Just there's some real good WA players.
Yeah.
And for Victoria, they can have a Victoria Country and Vic Metro. There's enough players going around, and I think it'd be a great opportunity to showcase, especially if there's like grand final week or something like that. If those 2 teams aren't playing in the grand final, players can play in that as a showcase.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome.
That'd be mental. Yeah. Great question, Aaron. Thank you very much. Robin Keane, asking what he thought of Robin Keane back at Yulbrook High School.
Gee, he was a menace, absolute menace, Robin. He's good. He's a good fella, especially when he's croupier days. But he's doing some wonderful things now, especially designing some Indigenous jumpers for Midland and Matterley. So he's doing well. He's got a good goatee going along too. Nice ginger goatee.
So shout out to you, Robin. Cheers for the question. Did you ever swap jumpers with another player, or do you know of any that did? And I believe this is another Aaron question.
No, I don't. No, I can't recall anyone swapping jumpers, probably because we weren't allowed to until the end of the season or after that. But
what about State of Origin? Do you ever see it happen there? Like, I think I've seen it happen maybe in the 08 one, maybe, but early days, I reckon they probably did swap a little bit, but you didn't see anything?
No. Didn't see anything that they swapped or anything. I've seen it like back in the 70s and 80s when they did it for grand final.
Yeah.
They used to swap.
Yeah, right.
But never. Nah, it's a good one, but I know you see soccer players
all the time.
Swap them all the time.
Yeah. Nah, shit question, Aaron. Ashton Snyder, we're into the last 3 questions now. Ashton Snyder would like to know, what was your favourite jumper design you ever wore in any club?
In any club?
Any club.
Gee, that's a tough one. It is a tough one.
All right, I'll give you a bit of an out here.
You can go to different clubs.
We'll say Freo first. What was your favourite Freo jumper you ever wore?
I'd have to say my first one was the green. Probably not my favourite. The 3D anchor I liked.
Yeah.
Especially like the shield on the back.
Yep.
With the number, I think, which is the Fletch one.
Yep.
I think that design was pretty good.
Mm.
Everyone said, "Why is the anchor on a slant?"
Yeah.
On an angle. But that was one I liked. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What about Milo's just joined you over there? What about Saints? What was your favourite jumper to wear in the Saints?
Probably traditional. Yeah. Just the red, white, and black stripes down. It's just traditional jumper. They've been around for so long. Even though they were had yellow in there at one stage instead of the white.
Yeah.
But they changed it because of the war and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, traditional.
They actually wore I guess it's a very German jumper.
Yeah, it's a German jumper.
At some point, yeah.
I mean, it looks like the Indigenous flag as well.
Yeah.
An Aboriginal flag. So
they wore it as a heritage. I think it's 06 maybe, where it looked exactly like the German flag, essentially.
Yep.
A little bit of controversy about it, but fantastic jumper, and it's a very cult jumper now. People love that. So, what about in general? So, is there a jumper outside of the clubs that you wore that you just can't get out of your head? I love the fact that I wore that, or just you remember it forever that you wore it in any game.
Suppose being a North supporter, old North supporter, the kangaroo with the flying, I think it was Hypertech.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was. That sort of sticks out, and suppose being a North supporter way back when, that would probably stick out. Yeah, but I like the designs of all clubs that they come out with. Especially traditional ones, or they come back with a heritage round. Yeah, it looks good.
Very traditional man. Do you have any regrets from your career? We've already answered that.
Yeah.
Or just in general of your career, not just Freo. Would you have done anything differently at all throughout your career?
Probably. I don't know, probably been under Drummy's nose a bit more and got to my 100th, but that's about it. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason, and
Fair enough.
Just like I answered the email and goes from there.
That's right. Yeah, and here we are. That was going to be the last question, but I do have one more. Adam Jander asks your thoughts on long sleeve jumpers.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Never wore one, regardless of the temperature. Yeah, not a fan of it. Some are. But it's up to them. It's the individual, but I was not a fan of it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's it. That's all the questions done. That's our show done for today, and I just want to thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's great to chat with you always. I know we always sit there and chat for 2 or 3 hours every single time you come say hello. So it's good to actually do it in front of a microphone. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it, and thanks for
inviting us.
Jumping, making me drink a light beer.
Done already. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you can say I drank that. But all right, thanks, Craig. I appreciate it.